Okay, folks, shall we get started? Welcome again. We're going to talk about Ironic today and give you some updates from the Ironic project itself and projects nearby and for our Dmitry efforts as well. We'll try to leave a bit of time for your questions and of course continue conversation afterwards, especially since Jay's going to do cool stuff right after that, so don't leave. We're going to have a lot of fun. My name is Dmitry. I'm here today with my colleagues Mahnoor, Jacob, Ricardo. We are all from Red Hat, don't get scared. And I'll start with a bit of introduction. Of course, I hope most of you know what Ironic is, but obligatory slide. Ironic is an open source project under OpenStack umbrella, you'd be surprised, for bare metal provisioning and management. We can discover them, catalog them. We are going to talk about life cycle in a bit more than an hour. In 12:10, we'll be talking about servicing and firmware upgrades. And of course, enrolling provisioning, maintenance, and decommissioning. We have a website. Not everyone knows that. Please pay some love. And without further chatting, let's talk about architectural changes in improvements. The big one for many operators will be event-led removal. I'll give you a bit more details just in a minute. We have improved one aspect of hardware managers and IPA, sorry. We can filter devices. You can write your own plugin to completely filter devices out of consideration or change them on fly, and it will affect the entire IPA and accordingly Ironic. There is a lot of ongoing work, not finishing in this cycle, but continuing to enhance redfish inspection with the goal of significantly increased feature parity with in-band inspection, aka former Ironic inspector, which is no longer Ironic inspector. A bit more about it later. Inspection rules are getting more updates. An interesting highlight is ability to call external API. It's pretty common request. I'm surprised we haven't got it earlier. But now you can plug in some third-party system in your inspection workflow, and this is all API driven. And just to mention a small bug fix, which probably annoyed a lot of operators. I mean, the bug not to fix. We clean up stale conductor records finally. You don't just pile up if you have a large deployment. So let's focus on eventlet for a second. Who knows what eventlet is? I'm happy Julia knows it. Thanks a lot, large extent to Julia. Let's a small applause for Julia. A bit of help from the rest of us. We moved from the eventlet library, which is a green threading library that OpenStack has historically used for parallel requests, to just boring old native operating system threads. There are a few applications for operators out here. To a certain degree, we are trading extreme parallelism for better CPU core usage, as much as Python it allows, and fewer bugs because eventlet was infamous for bugs, especially TLS, and I think a few of you might have seen them. We got a new dynamic thread pool implementation. It's mostly the same configuration options, but nearly certainly different performance. We, unlike Nova, are not providing a way to opt out of this transition. Sorry, it's a bit too much of a maintenance burden. So when migrating to 2025.2, performance and scaling testing is highly advised. So don't just push in production overnight on Friday. Let it run a bit.
Does it take more memory then?
It can take more memory. That's one of the things that is nearly certain. Again, testing is advised, playing with configuration option and advised. You may want to increase the number of conductors, for example, just to tweak your expectations a bit. We haven't noticed like terrible regressions in our testing, but our testing can be limited compared to your testing, especially large scale for those one. Redfish inspection, thank you most of your effort from Rackspace. I think support of stuff you probably know for former Ironic inspector, which is inspection rules. It's API-driven rules for inspection. Inspection hooks, which is the same thing but in Python, and a common inspection inventory format, all to the Redfish implementation, and potentially other out-of-band inspections. So while there'll never be full feature parity, we really hope that more people can use the much faster Redfish inspection instead of going full in on booting the RAM disk. You know how it works. And did I pass the mic to? I don't really have the mic. Go.
Thank you, Dmitry. Right, so share some information with you about improvements we made to steps and servicing. I've been quite active in this area, so I'll give you a bit of an update. First, bullet point we've got, logging steps in node history. There's been enhancements in this area, so any steps that ever run on a node, whether it's clean, servicing, or others, they will be logged, so it can be used for audit trail. Can be quite a handy feature for some operators. Another handy area we worked in is BMC clock management. This will be covered more in the outreachy section, but overall, especially when we're dealing with virtual media over encrypted connections, BMC clock is often can cause problems with validating certificates. So this work will certainly help in this area. An area that I've been focusing on in particular is servicing. Servicing is a feature which allows executing steps on an already deployed node. So we had things like firmware updates available for quite a long time, but a few releases ago we implemented a mechanism called service steps, so we can perform those steps not only on provisioning, deprovisioning, but also on active nodes. So if you have longer running workloads, it's really handy. You don't need to unprovision and reprovision to update firmware. So we've been working in this area and made a few improvements I'll touch on more in detail. Another really interesting feature is runbooks. Essentially, this mechanism allows implementing custom cleaning workflows with much smaller effort. It used to be essential to touch hardware managers and modify things there to implement this, and runbooks allow much more user-friendly implementations of this. And last package of work we've been working on this linked to servicing is resolving issues that arise when BMC becomes unresponsive after firmware update. We put some handlers there. It's an area we're still going to work on, but currently we have some mitigations in place already. So to touch a bit more on runbooks, as I mentioned, in the past we would kind of have that workflow where we need to modify the hardware manager to implement custom cleaning workflows. Right now, with runbooks, it's possible to do it in a more flexible way. It's all RBAC, so if you have specific cleaning requirements, things are now much easier. And to touch more on servicing improvements, first thing we've done in the cycle that's quite relevant in this area is we used to unconditionally reboot into IPA while updating firmware, no matter what. And with Redfish, this is wasteful because we use simple update API that can be called without booting the RAM disk, so we transitioned to an approach where that's the case. So essentially we call the API and then we reboot to fulfill the reboot requirements that the BMC might have, but we don't preemptively reboot. So we're saving a reboot, saving a little bit of time. And another important improvement, and hats off to Julia here for helping with this, is we added ability to abort servicing. So essentially if we have issues, say we request a firmware update and for some reason it's not going through, we have an option of just backing out of servicing. Previously, the assumption would be that we'll keep trying to succeed, which might not always be aligned with what operators need. So we added this capability to exit servicing if needed. Also, because when we update firmware, certain phases, quite a sensitive operation couldn't be aborted. So we made sure that if we have abortable faults in the steps, that's respected. Because in the past it hasn't necessarily been the case, so we fixed that bug. And as mentioned before, we added some handling of unresponsive BMC states after flashing BMC firmware. So ironic, it's not going to error out if it can't get power state or something along those lines. It used to be a problem with certain hardware models. Last thing I'm going to touch on before I hand over to my colleagues is we addressed quite a few important issues. One of them was there was a vulnerability in ironic that allowed using the file path to access arbitrary files in the file system of the machine running ironic. This has been resolved again. Hats off to Julia for coming up with a fix. We now only allow serving of paths that are explicitly listed in config files. So this security hole is no longer applicable. We've fixed some issues around OCI support, so getting closer to being able to use OCI as image source for Ironic. And we resolved a number of issues with iDRAC 10, which is laying foundation for adding support for wider support for iDRAC 10 machines going forward. And with this, I'll hand over to Ricardo to cover some of the removals.
Thank you. Sorry for my voice, still a bit sick. So these are this is the list of all the deprecations and removals during the last cycle. So we started with we start with Python 3.9 removal. This was a community-driven effort, like OpenStack community-driven effort. Because Python 3.9 is EOL, so we didn't want to come out with an unsupported version of Python for the latest release for me. This brought us this was kind of a huge effort for us for Ironic because we have CI based also on for example CentOS string 9. And we build some images, some IPA on this also with CentOS string 9. In some cases, we had to remove completely CentOS string 9, for example, for Bifrost support. We don't run that anymore because it was too much effort to just use Python 3.12. While for the IPA part, we were able for a while to just build the IPA around disk using Python 3.12 using disk image builder on CS9. There are still some bits to be done, but it's basically everything. We are now supporting only Python 3.10 or higher. Root wrap removal also this. I think it started actually 2 cycles ago, or even 3, if I remember correctly. It was 4. Okay. All right. Thanks, Julia. It was also a big effort to completely remove the root wrap support. It was outdated, insecure, and when you see privilege escalation, of course, you don't want anything that is outdated and insecure. So, the SNMP driver deprecation, this is also a long view thing, depending on outdated and unsupported library. It's going to be completely removed. It is already removed in Gazpacho. No, it's still there. So it's deprecated. Please don't use it anymore because it's
I would be surprised if it works in Flamingo, to be perfectly honest.
That's actually.
And please remove it fast because it's very annoying for me.
All right.
Patches requested.
There are
exactly.
There are operators that are that want to continue to use it, but I think it's such an edge case that they may have to maintain it on their own.
If anyone
Or they can contribute.
Exactly. I mean, if anyone is interested in keeping the support, feel free to participate and propose patches to maintain that. Then Ironic Inspector and Metasmith are deprecated, and I think they are already removed at this point. Ironically, was completely removed during the latest cycle. And Tiny APA, I think the latest bits were removed recently, so after Flamingo came out, but it was not supported, or very limited support during the latest development cycle, mainly because even if it was very convenient for CI in terms of size, it's the maintenance needed to support that was kind of high at some point because we didn't have, we had to actually maintain the entire build pipeline ourselves, and so we decided to just migrate and use only D-based IPA images. Talking a little bit more about the Ironic Inspector deprecation and recent removal. So Ironic Inspector, as most of you know, everyone knows here, hopefully, provided in-band inspection. And, well, over the latest cycles, we decided to move the features of Inspector directly into Ironic. So we now have an interface in Ironic that does basically what inspector was doing before, but it's an integrated service, it's not a separate service. I think it's just the agent inspector service. And it was completely removed recently in 2026.1 cycle, so you won't find it anymore in the repository. You will find some more information in the inspection migration page. And also talking about Metalsmith, this was a very interesting project, but unfortunately, like no one really stepped up for the maintenance of it. So again, we decided to just deprecate it, and it's been removed recently at the beginning of the 2026.1 cycle. And if you need to run Ironic standalone, or if you want to just test it, you can use Bifrost or Metacube. So please check our talk from yesterday about that. And it's just much more convenient, and of course, it's supported and maintained. So. And talking about Bifrost updates, so we kind of cleaned it up, especially during the latest cycle, because, well, so in 2025.1, we finally get rid of Bionic. Long view that as well, and we started to support Novel. In 2025.2, as I was saying before, we added the support for CS10, so CS10. CS9 and Debian 11, we decided to drop them because of incompatibility with the Python, with the main Python version. And since Bifrost has heavy dependencies on Python compiled system libraries and also something with AC Linux policies, we like the effort to maintain CS9 and Debian 11 support was just too high, so we decided to drop them. We're going to completely remove the support for Ironic Inspector soon and add also the OCI artifact registry during this cycle.
I have a half-baked batch for you.
Okay. And talking about Metacube, this is an intruder, but it's actually, so Metacube is an incubating CNCF project, recently incubating. For bare metal provisioning, uses Ironic as its core engine. Provides like a translation of the Ironic APIs into Kubernetes APIs. And well, there's a new operator there that is being created just to manage the lifecycle of Ironic itself, which is the Ironic standalone operator. So if you want to install or manage Ironic into a Kubernetes cluster, you can use that. Support firmware upgrades, support for services. You will hear much more about the latest two here points in the presentation that is going to be at 5 past 12, so in like 40 minutes. And please check the Metacube guides for more information about this. And I'll pass to Mahnoor for the outreach internship part.
In order to get new contributors into our community, we amongst other things, we participate in an internship called Outreachy, which is obviously providing internships in open source, but it's specifically for underrepresented groups of people in technology or people who might be facing some kind of systemic bias or discrimination in getting opportunities. It helps them learn about what open source is, how it works, and how they can get started and contribute to it. It's a fully remote internship that runs twice a year and lasts 3 months. And for the application process, we have what is called an initial contribution page where applicants can look at what organizations are participating in the Outreachy internship, what projects they're offering, a short description of the project, of course, and what skills are required in order to contribute to that project. And along with, for example, it could be Python, and it could be a beginner level or an advanced level, which is like what's required to work in Ironic as well, as you probably know. And then they submit find an application for the projects that they're interested in, and naturally you select an intern. The project mentors select an intern that they like. For the June 2025 internship round, we had a project that was to set the server's BMC clock using Redfish. Redfish, as you probably know, is a protocol and standard that can be used to interact with the BMCs of servers. It's good to kind of divide your project into manageable bits that build on each other. So what we did was, first things first, the first task was to add this function to Sushi, which is a Python library that is used by Ironic internally. So it was just one function, one Redfish call that had to be implemented. And the second step is to use the same function to add a node cleaning step in Ironic. So it's going to invoke the same function in the node lifecycle. And the next step was to allow the ability to do this automatically in the configuration file. And what it helps the interns with is that it allows them to understand how open source works, how you interact in a community, where do you find your community, usage of new tools, like our intern was using Git for the first time and submitting patches and getting reviews and learning how to handle those reviews and presenting her patches on IRC, which is where we interact. So it helps with things like this. And from a mentor perspective, I mentored this with Ricardo. From a mentorship perspective, all you need really is to have a little bit of time, like approximately like maybe 5 hours per week, in order to guide your intern, have regular meetings with them, and guide them in the right direction, basically. Yeah, that's it from me. And I pass to...
Yeah, let's do a bit of hand waving about future work. Now, this is, as usually, not a fully committed list. The items here vary from vague ideas to in-progress patches, but just to get your interest going a bit, a big area of focus is various improvements about networking, ranging from adding long-awaited, sophisticated switch management to standalone network, standalone applications without Neutron, to various improvements around scheduling, again, network-related. We're looking at various ideas about storage improvements. This interest in remote NVMe over Fabric, over Ethernet, snapshotting, various networking configuration again for accessing storage. Mandatory item graphical console support. We hope for the third time, I believe, to get it done finally, for sure. Some workflow improvements are requested. For example, support for bulk actions apparently is of big interest. Always have a redfish topic, fills in enablement of various redfish hardware, non-standard hardware, unusual architectures, and also just new models and new features that are coming to us. Servicing, of course, which is again operations on already deployed nodes, and related features for firmware upgrades. There's, for example, an interest in better device name mapping. Of course, supporting firmware upgrades on more devices, where we need your input, by the way, about, and some operational improvements, just making servicing and firmware upgrades and firmware settings work better and faster, also a common request. And to talk about all this, we invite you to Virtual PTG, which is happening in 2 weeks, I believe, unless I'm wrong.
Week after next.
Sorry?
Week after this coming week.
Week after this, okay.
Tomorrow.
Fully virtual, fully free event, very friendly people. Come chat to us, come get your ideas going. We should have put our Etherpad here, sorry for that. But yeah, reach out to us if you cannot find it. Please contribute ideas, please, especially if you're an operator or you have been long wondering why won't Ironic team introduce this one feature or this one bug fix. Get talk to us. Check the Etherpad for ideas we have. We really need more brainstorming power rather than our bubble. So really, don't be shy. We are friendly. We are very, very much want to see you all. On this positive note, here are some emails you can spam. Just no cryptocurrency, please. And thank you. Some questions? Maybe we have a few more minutes.
I have a question regarding the IPA. So I was looking at the builds, and I think the CentOS 10 is not published yet. Are you planning to do that for the upcoming release?
I think we're checking that, but I think we have not switched over. We still publishing CentOS 9 images.
Yeah.
Yes, we moved to a newer Python version, which is supplied with CentOS 9, 3.12, but we have not switched over to 10 images. And it's a bit of an issue that CentOS 10 is a bit more picky on, for example, CPU architecture. It might have dropped some drivers, as happened with CentOS 9. So a switch over, we'll probably be a bit careful of that, but that's probably something we should be also doing in the
We're building
G
them.
cycle.
We're not publishing them.
We're not publishing it.
But there's like the only difference between, besides of course the updated packages and everything, is the hardware support. Because CS10 has some limitations in terms of hardware.
I mean, we could maybe still publish both of them for a while, as long as the two builds work.
I think we are going to do that because Python, because CS9 with Python 12 works very well. So there should be no problem in supporting that for a while.
Are those images not even available under the Ironic Python agent builder pathing with the experimental, like where the ARM images are? Because if we're building it in IPA builder, they should be going there, even if we don't
Not
officially support
necessarily.
it.
That's two different jobs.
Yeah,
We
requires
have a check
second-
job and a header job.
Okay, cool.
We should be doing that. We should be doing more with ARM images. Yeah, the problem is we can do both and probably will, but CI testing all this kind of become interesting because a check job just checks that it builds. We need separate jobs to also check that it actually works with Ironic.
Also, consider that to build, like in general, to use anything with CS10, we need to pinpoint to specific nodes in the CI, and there are less available nodes of that type, so it might take longer or
Because of the
Because of the
x86
limited,
V3,
yeah.
V3,
That's secure level. Julia?
It's a loaded question. Has there been any consideration of extending the valid time skew window for the agent?
You mean to accommodate local time zones?
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna talk to you about that. Needing to
It's a
support
configuration option, right? You know that.
It is a configuration option, but by default, I'm thinking.
It's 1 hour, I believe.
1 hour, yeah, and what I'm hearing as feedback is that operators need to run hypervisors with local time. In some
That is-
cases.
As a core review round, would probably be a hard sell on that, to be perfectly blunt.
Fair.
I mean, we probably should talk to somebody more security-minded than me about this, because I don't see a lot of problems, but that means
Yeah.
there aren't any problems.
I guess what I'm hearing is certain operating systems that start with W expect the hardware clock to be local time, not UTC.
Yeah, I had a conversation with the same person probably you had.
We're forcing everyone to use UTC, and people are getting fed up with that.
I think we can find approaches to fix that
Yeah.
don't require loosening the security requirement.
Fair. Okay.
When insecure Windows compatibility equal true.
Anything else, folks?
Concerns? Thoughts?
Requests?
Anything else?
Quick feature request?
If y'all are interested in Ironic, the talk that was previously following this slot, I don't know what it was or who it was, but it got canceled. I'm going to be doing a retake of my 10 years of Ironic features talk, basically summarizing everything that Ironic does that was given at a bare metal SIG earlier and stuff. So if you're interested in Ironic, you want more, stick around. If you don't know what question to ask, maybe you'll have a question after that.
Okay, thank you.
Please.